It's a 10-hour, all-night journey across the desert, from Amman in Jordan to Baghdad. The closer we come to Iraq's capital, now controlled by U.S. forces, the more we encounter the scars of conflict. The remains of military machinery and government offices, charred warehouses and factories, the debris of a nation where people must make do with what remains. The battle is all but over. The city still smolders in its aftermath. This is the signature of war.
This is Mike Greenspan in Baghdad for HDNet's World Report. The coalition's campaign against Iraq was the most technologically advanced in the history of modern warfare. Precision weapons pinpointed strategic targets and for the most part kept clear of residential neighborhoods. But Iraq's public utilities were already ravaged by more than a decade of economic sanctions. And during the war, electricity, telecommunications, and water infrastructures simply crumbled.
There is still no electricity, and only the light from scattered generators pierces the darkness. Evenings become prime time for armed bands of looters and thieves. Most Iraqis stay inside. As they grope with the abnormality of life, many here remain preoccupied with death. During the years of Saddam's rule, countless people were killed by the regime. Many simply disappeared. On this day, people are wondering what's under the floor of this former jail. Stories surface almost every day of hidden dungeons or killing grounds. On another day, a rumor sends thousands of Baghdadis running to a highway underpass, believing it conceals a secret prison. They come up empty-handed. But above ground, others detect the stench of death and begin scraping the earth. It isn't clear who dug the shallow grave or placed this mutilated body there. A day later, a walled-off cemetery is discovered near Iraq's most notorious prison, yielding concrete, silent testimony to Saddam's brutality.
Here on the outskirts of Baghdad lie more than 1,000 people, buried in graves marked only by numbers. They were the enemies of the regime. They were killed for acting against it or for simply speaking out against it. How much pain and how many wounds, how many lives lost for no apparent reason.
It's worse now than it was before, he says. We wanted Saddam gone, but not like this. Before we used to have 10 a day. Now we have 25 a day from stray bullets. As families go about the grisly business of searching for missing loved ones, Iraqis ponder how to dig themselves out from under the rubble of conflict. Baghdad is a city on hold. The vast majority of businesses remain closed, with either nothing to sell or no one to buy it. Yet there is energy on the streets, and wherever people congregate, they have something to say, in support of the coalition or against it.
We'd like to see them, but not in this manner, not in this way. Not by bombing, killing all kinds of people.
I want to thank Bush. He is promised to bring the freedom foods, but he is a big liar. He destroyed my country.
Well, I want the Americans to stay as long as possible to build a democracy.
يعني المغادرة طبعا.
It is best for the coalition to leave, he says. We thank them for giving us our freedom from Saddam, but if they stay, they'll be seen as occupiers. While the coalition attack was aimed at Iraq's ruling regime, many civilians were also caught in the crossfire. That's what happened when U.S. forces went after Saddam Fedayeen that took cover among the homes of this neighborhood. Residents say 4 people were killed here. It was an experience Laila and Fatih Jabbar will never forget. From the time the fighting began, she says, her family took cover in the living room and sat on the floor praying. But then the bombs came closer. One of them hit the upper floor, and they all ran out of the house. Luckily, no one was hurt.
How long have you lived here?
Just 1 month.
Her neighbors down the street had saved for years to build their dream house. The war erupted just after they moved in. When the battle began, they took cover in the neighborhood bomb shelter. When they returned home, this is what they found.
I am patient for my children is okay, and my wife is okay. I can't tell you the sad of in my heart and in my wife. If you ask my wife, she's cry. She's 2 days, 3 days, 4 days crying.
All he can do now, he says, is try to avoid further loss.
In Iraq, there is many thieves in Iraq. Yes, I protect my family and myself from the thieves. But it's not still there if the no thieves in Iraq and no things.
There's no framework in place to compensate Iraqi civilians for their damages. For most, there's also no work and no income. While many stocked up on essentials before the war, and some can still afford an occasional lunch or a cup of tea on the street, others don't know where their next meal will come from. Before the war, Abu Dhami was food and beverage manager at a Baghdad hotel. Now he hawks soft drinks on a street corner. He has 5 children to feed, he says. If he doesn't do this, they'll go hungry. But business isn't good. What happens next is up to God. Business isn't booming for Majid El-Daraji either, but he's upbeat about the future. He says he has a point to make, that life in Iraq goes on, no matter what. He's happy that Saddam Hussein is gone. In fact, this is one kind of destruction most Iraqis do seem happy about, and no one tries to stop. Once a fixture at every major intersection, on every public building, the face of the dictator is now an object of scorn. Saddam the military hero, Saddam the statesman, Saddam the father figure, Saddam the patriotic leader. They're all gone. In fact, these days about the only place you'll find an intact image of Saddam Hussein is on Iraqi banknotes. They're rapidly losing their value. This entire stack is worth about $10. So here too, Saddam is likely to soon become the thing of the past. In fact, in today's Iraq, it's very much out with the old and in with the new. The new Iraq will have to emerge from the rubble of the old. Whatever his crimes, Saddam Hussein created an impressive infrastructure of public works and government enterprises. Coalition forces laid waste to much of it. What bombs and missiles didn't do, looters and vandals did. That destructive combination left Iraq's Ministry of Industry a charred hulk. It took days before U.S. troops were placed here to protect what remained.
The main problem is that the American troops, when they entered the country, did not think about providing protection. I saw the looting began Wednesday last week. It began in some of the Ministry of Irrigation started and then continued to the other ministries. I think in the meantime they could have done something. Yes, I think so. Because these are government centers. The new government which will come in will have to use these centers. They cannot build new things. It will cost a lot of money and it will take a long time.
U.S. plans for Iraq's future hinge on helping local officials to rehabilitate its economy. But with government ministries in a shambles, this will be a protracted uphill battle.
Well, it is devastating. I mean, it has destroyed all the work we have done over the previous years. It's completely gone overnight. We're starting from zero all over again.
With huge numbers of Iraqis out of work and out of money, some are living on rations provided from warehouses set up before the war as part of the UN's Oil for Food program. This warehouse cares for 480 families, he says. That's 3,400 people. They have enough food to last until August. Others are turning to coalition forces seeking employment. Hundreds stand in line each morning at this Baghdad hiring center, looking for work as translators and clerks, but most leave disappointed. On this Friday, the sign says, "Come back Monday."
Every Iraqi people is happy about the breaking down of this previous regime. You know, this is the first happiness of the Iraqi people. But we are now unhappy because all the Iraqi people are looking for jobs and they are driving them out. I have been 3 days here, come to this area for getting my job. And I have been, as you know, examined by them. But nobody can ask him to give me the answer about my examination.
During the war, Iraq lost many of the trappings of normal life. Massive U.S. airstrikes knocked television and telecommunications off the air. Now a brisk business has emerged in satellite phones, the only way for tens of thousands of Iraqis with loved ones abroad to tell them they've survived. This family used our cell phone to call relatives in Jordan. It was the first time this woman had heard her daughter's voice since before the war. With the postal system also out of operation, Iraqis now rely on overseas visitors to carry letters out of the country.
It's very important. When you see them, when they greet us, they give us tea, they're very happy. When they're on the telephone talking to their family, they're crying. It's very important for their relatives to know that everything is okay and everything is good.
Baghdad is awash in monuments to a fallen regime, and U.S. forces determined to help implement the creation of a new one. But the Iraqis we met want a greater stake in building their own future. In some places, they're tackling the job on their own. At this College of Engineering, looted during the war, we found students and administration pitching in to put the campus back together. Al-Kindi Government Hospital was also ravaged by looters who made off with large amounts of medical equipment. Then Shia Muslim clerics took over the complex, convinced thieves to return some of the stolen loot, and put their own armed security force in place. The hospital is up and running again, but conditions are far from good, and medicines are still in short supply.
We asked the help from the American soldier to come to protect us, but they did not come and say to us, this is not their responsibility. After that, we closed the operation and we make this hospital just for reception of the patient. And we did the primary station for every patient, and if he needs surgery, we referred him to other hospitals.
This situation, say some, was the result of poor U.S. planning.
It was very difficult to realize that even as a hospital was being turned into a war zone, I'm thinking specifically of the Al-Kindi hospital, the coalition forces stood back. And they had in fact been approached and asked to go to these various places that were crucial for infrastructure. And the Marines said, look, we're a fighting force. That's not our job. And it does seem as though they entered in without a plan.
Since long before the war, Kelly's Voices in the Wilderness organization has been drumming up worldwide support for the people of Iraq.
I think it's important to go to mosques, to synagogues, to churches, to schools, to universities, to community groups, to living rooms, and keep trying to grapple with the enormity of suffering that we've inflicted on people here, and then ask ourselves why.
Addressing Iraq's big challenges requires massive assistance. While Iraqis are out in the field repairing downed power lines, U.S. troops and civilian employees are working behind the scenes in a rehabilitation operation that's almost military in scope.
We're dealing with the city the size of Los Angeles, about 5 million customers that were completely without power. And what we had to do was we had to bring power from outside the city, from 3 different sources down through about 18 nodes to get power here to the Baghdad South power plant. We eventually succeeded of bringing power from 2 different directions, synchronizing that power to set up a basic electrical grid, and then we moved down to the Baghdad South power plant, and we were able to restart operations successfully on the 20th, which was Easter Sunday, I believe. And once we were able to start Baghdad South here, we were able to push power from here to the other plants in the city, to Qudus, to Dora. We have both of them now functioning, and now we're working on the 4th and last major power plant.
At the Baghdad South power plant, the U.S. Army provides logistical support and protection, but Iraqis are doing the work. This relationship could serve as a model for further cooperation in the months and years ahead.
From the technical point of view, I know what I should do. This is normal for me. It's not something new. This is our job. And they don't do anything unless they help us how to run the plant, because they try to give us anything we need if they can, of course.
Getting life back to normal, bringing power back to the people. For Bashir Khalaf Umayr, it's a calling.
Every day when I come back to my home, my neighbor and my family asks me, where is the electricity? Why you come to the house without electricity? You should go back to your station and until you get the power. Every day they ask me. So everyone needs the electricity, not only the family, the hospital, the school, everything. No life without electricity.
On this day in Baghdad, there are signs of change, signs of hope. For the first time since we arrived, garbage trucks are back on the streets, tackling a mountain of debris. And on this night, there's a small miracle. For the first time since the end of the war, there's normal electric current in some parts of the city, and a sense of real electricity in the air. When the lights come on again all over Baghdad, and all over Iraq for that matter, it'll be a clear sign that things here are finally on the mend. But with so much left to repair and restart, not only in Iraq's infrastructure, but also in its national life, in government, the economy, healthcare and education, just to name a few, it's also clear that there's a long, hard road ahead. At its outset, Iraqis are asking for 2 things. First, they say, give us security. And then, let us do the job ourselves. In Baghdad, I'm Mike Greenspan for HDNet's World Report.